Bruno Fernandes is staying, but who will Manchester United sign in midfield this summer? It's another key position where we need to bring someone in, but who? I'll run through a list of the midfielders we've been credibly linked with so far, and some others we should be discussing as we try to pick United's ideal midfielder for Amorim this summer window. Now, you can call me crazy for saying this if you want, but I genuinely think that I would probably put signing a central midfielder ahead of signing a striker now as a priority. If United didn't get Cunha and get Mbeumo, we've brought some goals in, but I think, are missing a central midfielder. I'm going to run through 8 names in this video. You can let me know who you think in the comments. If Bruno Fernandes is going to be starting in midfield, who's going to be the perfect partner for him? The Athletic have already said that United and Amorim want an athletic number 8, so we're probably not talking about a defensive midfield specialist. It's going to be an all-round player. I'll run through 8 names. You can let me know who you think in the comments. Now, let's start with the player that we've been linked with the most, and that's Éderson from Atalanta. He's definitely like an all-round midfielder, somebody who's very aggressive, can bring the ball forward, also decent defensively. I think price-wise, you're probably looking a little bit more than that. Gasperini's leaving Atalanta. He was a vital player. Éderson has been for the last few years. Could definitely be a good signing. I don't think it'll be a bad signing, but would it be the ideal signing? I question that. Now, I'm going to bring Adam Wharton's name into this list, but I think from a financial perspective, it's not going to happen. All right? Wharton, since he's come through at Palace, has shown that I'm not saying he's Michael Carrick in any way, shape, or form. The way that Adam Wharton plays with the ball is like he wants the ball. He's confident, he's calm, he's composed. He can deal with the pressure. He's good in tight spaces. He's good at getting closed down and can progress the ball forward. He's somebody who, and I mean this in a compliment, is able to slow the game down. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that United need to bring into midfield. But I think price-wise, 45 million euros, they got that completely wrong. You're going to double that. Crystal Palace are going to ask for north of 75 million. I think it's just going to be out of our price range. And I actually said, and I agree with people who suggested him, Hayden Hackney, right? I said, what United need to ideally find is an Adam Wharton before he had the price tag of Adam Wharton. That's probably Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough. Obviously Michael Carrick's a manager. Get on the blower. Hayden Hackney, I think from a progressive perspective, has been one of the most impressive players in the Championship. And maybe after this season, they'd be willing to sell. I don't quite know. Would I look at Hackney and think, oh, that will sort Man United's midfield out? I question whether we would be able to not just trust him, but take the gamble on him to be the midfielder that we need, because we need a ready-made midfielder. And look, there's other Premier League midfielders that you could speak about, okay? I think Carlos Baleba is going to be on the list for a lot of United fans. He was a replacement that Brighton brought in for Caicedo, and he's very much in the same mould. And if you're talking about an athletic number 8 style midfielder, now number 8 midfielder is somebody who is good defensively, but also good at bringing the ball forward. They're box to box. They're, if you want to call them complete midfielders, but they're not somebody who's just going to be like an old school, sitting like a Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester, sit in front of the defence as a number 6 and do nothing else. Baleba can receive the ball under pressure from his defence, but he can stride it forward. He can carry the ball forward as well. And this is the profile we're looking at. But again, financially, how much did Caicedo go to Chelsea for? Was it 120 odd mil? We're going to get outpriced for Baleba and Wharton. And while I think both of them would be great midfield additions, I don't think we're going to be able to afford them. Now, I'm going to go back and actually have a conversation about Onana, who I spoke about last summer. I still think he would be a fantastic fit for what we need. He's got the physicality over everybody else we've mentioned. Very strong in the duel, and we'll need that, because if Bruno's going to be a chief progressor and bring the ball to the attackers, whoever that midfield partner is going to have to be very strong in the duel. That's what Onana ticks that box. He's actually a decent enough progressive passer. And I think with Villa's PSR, look, last season they spent 96% of their turnover on wages. It's nuts. And this summer they're probably going to have to sell again. They did sell John Duran, so I don't quite know. Either way, Onana might be an opportunity. Still only 23. I think would be a fantastic signing. I would not be offended in any way, shape or form if it was him. Now let's move on to some other players outside of the Premier League. Well, maybe not just all outside of the Premier League. Felix Metscher from Dortmund is a name that's been on the list for a while. There are concerns, I think, injury concerns. There are concerns as to whether he would be the perfect fit and the perfect profile. Would he fit in the Premier League, the risk you take, etc., etc., etc. Everything I mentioned, Éderson, I suppose you could say the same thing from Atalanta. Metscher, of all the names linked so far, Éderson is the one that's probably had the strongest links over the last few months. And then I'd probably say Metcha's the second. I don't think there's been anything too strong linking Wharton or Baleba, and that's probably going to be price related. But what do you think about him? Dortmund would be able to sell that. They would sell at the right price. It probably wouldn't be too offensively priced. It's just whether you think he'd be the perfect partner for Bruno. And I'm going to go for a little conversation about Enzo Baraneccia. He was on loan at Villa, wasn't he? Let's have a quick look. I'm pretty sure he was on loan at Villa. How much did he play there? I'm not quite sure. But from a profile perspective, I think you're looking at him being somebody who's very good at receiving the ball from his defence. I wouldn't say if you were to compare him to Baleba, for example, I don't think he's as strong all-round as him. But it could well be an opportunity for United to sign someone at a relatively decent price. And maybe you get two midfielders. I don't quite know how United are going to approach it this summer. But as I said, I'll stand by the fact that it's either a central midfielder or a goalkeeper, which is the next most important signing for United. We need goals next season. We've signed Cunha and we're going to hopefully sign Mbeumo. That's goals. We still need a striker, but we need a midfielder more than that. There's a couple of names you can add to the list here, which are sort of more curveballs. Mohamed Kamara, he would be more of... This is about United identifying opportunities. And this is why I could speak about Adam Wharton because I've watched more of Adam Wharton. I know more of Adam Wharton, but it doesn't mean there aren't midfielders out there who are, I don't know, let's call it 60, 70, 75% of what Adam Wharton is and maybe half the price or less. And with the right coaching, after 6 months, you could get an Adam Wharton level player. That's going to be down to Chris Vavell. And looking around, now Mohamed Kamara is more of a traditional defensive midfielder, so I don't particularly think United will look at him, but he's an option. And you've got Amadou Onana, who's a young player, plays out for Stade Rennes in France. Just one to watch, just a name to add to the list. Because this summer, United have gone for the Premier League proven players when it comes to Cunha and Mbeumo. I don't think they're going to be able to afford to do the same thing in midfield. I would choose Wharton or Baleba, and I'm not sure which one I would choose if it was a fantastical land where money wasn't an issue and United could spend what they wanted. I don't realistically think that's going to be the case. I question whether they would be able to take the risk on Hayden Hackney. I would love us to have the ability to do so because I think Crystal Palace has done so well with Eze and Adam Wharton and Mark Gahey and others that they've signed from the Championship that have ended up being great players. I think the Championship is a massive pool of talent. And if I'm going to choose one from there, it would probably be Hayden Hackney. But that's the midfielders I think we can have a conversation about. You've got Éderson from Atalanta, Wharton from Palace. You've got Hayden Hackney from Borough. You've got Carlos Baleba from Brighton. Amadou Onana from Villa. Metcha from Dortmund. And then you've got Baraneccia, you've got Kamara, and you've got Kone. And there's going to be other names on the list. That's not an exhaustive list. If I did an exhaustive list, I'd be here all day. Of those names, which would you choose? Or if it's somebody else that I haven't mentioned, who would it be? Let me know in the comments, because whoever it is, we need to find the perfect partner for Bruno Fernandes in midfield next season. And that has to be like an all-purpose midfielder, somebody who can receive the ball from his defence, but also is incredibly strong in the duel and does have the ability to progress the ball forward too. Kind of hard find.